Hello race fans! Today we are racing at Lago Maggiore East in the Aston Martin Vantage. This is certainly not the fastest car for this track, but it's a stable car and good on tires, which makes it an interesting choice for this race. We are mostly surrounded by Porsche 911s and the occasional AMG Mercedes. Starting on the hard tires, so our first stint will be a long one, racing for a total of 15 laps, with the laps being around 1 minute and 20 seconds. So we're aiming to pit in lap 10 or 11 depending on what the other drivers do, but we might try the overcut if the tires are lasting that long. And we are off! The TV camera replay is playing in the top right of your screen. Going for the first corner, getting a good launch, gaining on the AMG in front of us. The Aston Martin is not a quick car in a straight line, but I like how it handles through the upcoming Esses at the middle section of this track. And once the tires are warmed up, we just need to settle in and put in some consistent lap times. And it seems that there already are some battles going on behind us, because it looks like the gap is somewhat growing. This is a really tricky corner, so most of the times I short shift into third to get good traction on the uphill part. Yeah, and it's always tricky to go through the S's the first lap. But as I mentioned, this car is pretty stable through there, so that gives me a bit more confidence to attack the curbs. No really big moments from other drivers as well so far. Gap to the number 5 is already almost 2 seconds, but as you can see it comes down a fair bit in that final turn, so he's probably on mediums, I think, because then you gain a lot of time under braking. Lap 1 done, lap 2 underway, and I think the top 3 is also on hards, since they are not really pulling away. And yeah, the gap is closing with the car behind us, especially in the braking zone, so I'm fairly sure he's on the mediums, and it wouldn't surprise me if cars behind him are also on mediums. Let's see if the gap really comes down in turn 5, that big downhill to uphill turn, which puts a lot of stress on the tires. Yeah, he's gaining a lot of tense in this corner, so we're fairly sure he's on mediums, so if he's gonna attack us, then we're not gonna defend super crazy, because that will only cost us both time. But for now we're pretty stable and consistent, and actually gaining on the AMG again. He's having a rough time through these S's. Maybe we can have a little look on the line on the last turn. The braking zone. Careful not to hit him. And yeah, we follow him. This is not the way you have to take this corner. We follow his line. And that's not too smart, because that cost us a little bit of time. The TV replay shows a big pack of cars, the top 4 and the mid pack, all really close together. So if there are people on the mediums in that mid pack, every lap we can stay ahead of them is good for us. But also the Porsche behind us is really closing the gap, or we should say he closed the gap. So let's see what happens. If he makes a move, then we might try the old switcheroo if we have enough grip on the tires. He's probably gonna make a move in this corner. Yeah, really going for it, choosing the inside line, and yes, there's enough grip. So we hold the position for now. He is back behind us again, and yeah, this is normally a place where you can't overtake if you're behind, or at least close behind. After these S's, he might try and have another go in the final corner, or at least that's the most logical place to do it. So hitting our brake marker just after the 100 board is even more important. Getting it right. Yeah, he's too far off, so we can turn in normally and get on the power as soon as possible. But as mentioned, the Aston Martin isn't the quickest in a straight line, so he's probably gonna have another go in turn 1. Maybe we can perform another switcheroo. There he is. But not this time. With his mediums, he just has more grip in this slow corner, although he almost loses it. All we can do now is just try and follow him as long as possible. The numbers 6 and 7 are also closing in, so we also need to keep an eye out for any overtakes by them. So let's see how this lap goes. Again, the most important corner approaching for the, at least I think, for the tires. Turn 5. Try to keep the car stable. Early upshift again. Getting a good run in the uphill section. Seems like we can follow the Porsche fairly okay through this part. Getting a nice run through these S's again. We actually go a little bit on the grass, but nothing too serious. Sometimes it's also just about keeping your foot down. Approaching the final turn again, making our brake marker, closing in on the number 4. Again, getting a good launch. It's a nice train of cars, and yeah, the number 6 is closing in on us. Pretty sure he's also on mediums. So let's see what happens in lap 5. Try and see if we can keep him behind us. We also see the Porsche in front of us is still struggling with his exit in turn 2. And even though I know P6 is on mediums, I still feel the pressure of him closing in. If he tries the overtake, we need to make sure we don't lose a lot of time. We want to keep the lap times consistent and the tires last as long as possible. He'll maybe make a move in turn 5 again, just like the other driver. He's too far off. But we have a really bad turn 5 exit this time, so maybe he's coming for us. Yeah, it's not possible to do it here, so he's wisely choosing to stay behind. He has to back off for the S's. With him being as close behind us as he is, he's probably going for the move in the final turn. Looks like he's lining the car up, so we have to make our brake marker. Braking in, and oh, it looks like he overshoots the corner, which makes him vulnerable for P7. He's trying to switch back on P6, didn't work out. Train of 3 cars going into turn 1. Let's hope this all goes well. He makes the move, and we go for the switcheroo again. And we get a little tap. This is partially my fault because I thought with a little bit of throttle and power I got ahead of him again, but should have left him more space, so the tap and the touch is totally my fault. But this battle is still going on. 3 cars, all going for it. Going defensive here with my one move. Going back to the racing line. Braking into turn 5. Again, the 3 cars still going at it. Getting a good exit. Making our move for the S's. Lining the car up. Let's see what happens. This time it's the AMG behind us, so he gained the position from the Porsche. So let's see if the AMG has the same thoughts as the Porsche. Trying to go for the overtake in the final corner, and we have to just make our brake marker. Everything seems to go well. Everybody survives. And we have the first people coming into the pits. People in front of us are on mediums, as it seems, so we gain a couple of positions. AMG going for the move, yeah, he makes it stick. Good move by him. Goes a little wide here, so try to keep up again. So far this has proven to be a really tough and fun race. In a nice 3-way battle these couple of laps. Again he goes wide, so we try to dive under, but we don't have enough straight line speed, so we go back into a slipstream. Maybe we can try something in this corner. Braking on the racing line, short shifting up to 3rd. Getting good traction, he goes wide again. Can we make it stick? He has the inside line for the S's, so I back off sort of, but then I see this gap because he goes wide again, and yet normally this is an impossible location or spot to overtake, but somehow I made it stick. Yeah, this was really satisfying during the race because I totally didn't expect him to go wide just before the Esses, and yeah, instinctively I just had to go for it. So this three-way battle is still going on, but the Porsche behind us backs off because he's going into the pits. So we know he's on mediums as well. The AMG is probably also on hards because he's still following me. The three-way battle now has turned into a two-way battle between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes. He's staying really close behind, so I need to just keep making the corners, hitting the apexes, getting my brake markers, having a little moment of oversteer at turn 4. He's still close behind, so maybe he's going for a move in turn 5. We hit our brake marker, he's too far away. We get a good exit. Looks like a better exit than him actually. We know now that it's possible to overtake here, but he's too far off. So we just need to nail these S's again. Looks like the gap is gaining a little bit in our favor. Or growing a little bit in our favor. Maybe his tires are starting to go off the cliff. Looks like our tires are actually still pretty good. Let's see what he does. He might go into the pits. Waiting for the image to show. No, he's still behind us. And actually there's again a real group of cars just a few seconds behind us again. But this battle is still going on. So far, the majority of this race we have been battling other drivers and other cars, which is pretty cool because that's why we join in on these daily races, to have racing action, good racing fun, close battles. Yeah, that's what it's all about for me. And so far, this race is really providing all of that. And it looks like he's starting to let us go a little bit. So my assumption is his tires are more gone than ours. Ours are, yeah, still in pretty good shape. I feel the traction is still there. So as it looks for now, I'm probably not gonna pit either in this lap or the next one. Unless the tires suddenly start to drop off, but it doesn't seem to look that way. Getting our best sector time of the race thus far. Approaching the final turn again. Nailing the apex, early on the throttle, and I think the AMG went into the pits. No, again, he's still there, so he's just following us. We putting in our best lap time of the race. And with that best lap, the difference between us and P4 has grown to over a second, 1.3 seconds. So my assumption is still that his tires are more worn and more gone than ours. Gap growing even more, almost 1.5 seconds now. So his tires are gone. And we actually put in a good sector time again, just 0.04 of a second slower than our last lap, which was our best lap of the race. Gap is still growing. So by now, it's safe to say that we're not going into the pits at the end of this lap. We're going for one extra lap to perform the overcut and see if the overcut gives us a few extra positions and maybe some more battles again, because after our pit stop we are on medium, so probably on the fresher and better tire compound. As we see P1 and P2 also going into the pits this lap, so we're definitely staying out. And in the background we also see the AMG finally going into the pits. We see more pit signs at the left of the screen. So it's safe to say we probably had the longest stint, going for 11 laps on the hard tire in the Aston Martin. Just need to keep the car stable, and as I say that, we almost lose it in this corner. So it's safe to say our tires are starting to drop off, but at this point they still felt pretty good, pretty okay. Yeah, of course the lap time is a little bit worse than our last lap, but for a hard tire in lap 11 of this race, it's still pretty good. And we have free air now because everybody around us is pitted and is in another part of the track. So it's about getting to the pit with a good in-lap, getting a good pit stop. There's no refuel needed, so just new tires, new mediums going on in the pit stop. And then after the pit stop we just have to have a good out lap. Braking again for the final turn. Staying on the left this time. Don't go over the white line because that will result in a penalty, 3-second penalty, which we don't want. As mentioned, no need for fuel, only new tires. Pit crew coming out. Waiting with the new tires, just waiting for us to pull in. The pit loss is in total around 22 seconds. So that's fairly okay, it's a short pit lane as well. And we come back in P5, so we lost a position with the pit stop, but we are on the fresher tire. And we know at this stage that P4 is on worn hard tires because he came in at the beginning of the race and he overtook us on his mediums at the beginning of this race. So all we have to do now is get these tires warmed up. Bit of swerving, get some heat in the tires. And then as they warm up, try and close this gap to P4. And I'm fairly confident that he is starting to struggle on his worn hard tires. So this gap of around 2.5 seconds should get smaller in the next couple of laps. Our tires are warmed up by now, so we can go full blast through these again. Go a little bit wide on the grass, but that's not too serious if you keep your foot on the pedal. Approaching the final corner, and the gap has already come down sub 2 seconds, so below 2 seconds. Getting good traction off the line again. Yeah, the gap is really starting to close down, or at least started to get smaller. Let's see how he goes through these slow corners, because that's usually where you also struggle with worn tires, and we see him sliding around a little bit. So at this point I'm really confident that we can make a move at some point, but the question is, where can we make the move and can we make a clean move? A little bit of oversteer again, but we managed to keep it together. Getting in our best sector time of the race, which is logical because we're on fresh medium tires. He goes wide, so the gap is below 1 second now. Can we make the move stick? Maybe in the final turn. Closing in again. Going green for our best sector time of this race in this lap. Looks like we're too far gone, but he steers away, so this was my signal that he just gave us the position, or maybe he was afraid that we were going to hit him, but he probably knew we were on the fresher tire, so I think he just made space for us to go ahead and take the position, because he knew he was gonna lose the position at some point. So fair play to him again, and yeah, we can probably pull away now in clean air. Gap between us and P3 is 10 seconds, so doesn't seem like we are going to have a chance on a podium for this race. We started on P4 and probably are going to end up in P4. I would say it's a good result. In this case the position hasn't changed, but overall this has been a really fun race with some tough battles at the beginning, some good battles in the middle, and also a nice sort of a battle at the end. Although again, he gave us the position probably knowing he was on worn tires and we were on the fresher medium. But still, it was nice to chase him down, see the gap close. And overall, I think this has been a really cool and fun race. And I also think it's nice that we drove the Aston Martin instead of one of the usual suspects, the Mercedes or the Porsche. So that's also cool. And yeah, you can also be competitive with this car. I'm probably not the fastest driver around, but it's a consistent car. It's good on tires. As you saw, we managed to pull in a good stint for the first stint, 11 laps on the hard tires. And that also gives you more possibilities at the end of the race, doing only a couple of laps on the mediums. You could also try and switch it up, starting on the medium tire and then going for a short stint, switching to the hard tire, knowing that you can drive 11 laps on those hard tires. So switching the strategy around is also a possibility. And yeah, as I mentioned, you can go really long on these hard tires with this car. So you'll probably struggle less on the hard tires going with the medium hard strategy. And that will also give you options. For instance, if you start more at the back, then it's probably even more wise to start on medium tires instead of hards. So definitely try that out. As we approach the final turn for the final time, hitting our brake marker, just cruising to the finish line at this point. And yeah, a good result overall. Managed to keep the same position, but as I said, it was a fun and good race. I really enjoyed it, and of course I hope you also enjoyed watching this replay. Bit of a different style, going for the full replay with the TV replay in the top right of the screen. And if you want to see more of these fun races, check out this playlist and see you next time. Bye bye.